I found it easier just to forget that I even played football.
Welcome to the latest in our series of interviews where we discuss life after football with the people who played the game. Tonight's guest played Premier League football for both West Ham and Norwich City and was widely regarded as one of the most talented English centre-forwards of his generation. It's good evening and welcome to Dean Ashton. Dean, welcome along.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
How's things right now? All good?
Good, yeah, very good, yeah. Norwich is still in the Premier League, Ipswich is still...
That's a nice start to the interview, isn't it? Take me back to that moment. You're on the training ground with England. That tackle, Sean Wright-Phillips. Did you know at that moment that it was going to be as bad as it turned out?
No, it was the first time I'd had a major injury. So at the time, obviously, yeah, I knew it was broken because I could hear the bone snap. So I knew straight away it was a broken ankle, broken foot, broken leg, whatever it may be. But didn't, it wasn't panic stations. It wasn't like, well, right, that's it, my career's ended. But it certainly was upsetting knowing that this was my first England squad and that's over, and any chance of possibly making your debut was over. So that was the biggest thing straight away, was that perhaps that's my England chance gone. That's the one chance I might have, and that's gone.
Did you think of any resentment towards the player, Sean Wright-Phillips, at that time? Was it a bad tackle?
No, because you can watch any football match and look at any tackle and think 2 seconds earlier, and that could break your leg. You could do your knee. 2 seconds earlier. It's just I look at it like that, and so many people break their legs and ankles and do their knees, get back, have a full career. I am just very, very unlucky, and that's how I looked at it. I don't look at it in a resentful way. I think other people do actually on my behalf, but I don't.
And that was 2006. Now, you retired in 2009, is that right? So
yeah.
3 years between that tackle and you deciding to retire.
Yeah.
Talk me through that 3 years. How difficult was that period?
I think the first 15 months was the most difficult, because that was the sort of unknown. That was I expected to be back in 2 to 4 months, which would have got me back around Christmas time.
And what went wrong in that then?
Just complications in terms of the amount of damage that I actually had to my joint surface was worse than first expected, and therefore was very difficult to heal, and took me a lot longer than was initially thought. And I think that was the hardest part, was the almost getting back, then having a bit of a setback. Right, you've got to have another operation to clear it all out, to get rid of the scar tissue, and then again you have to start your rehab. So that 15 months was by far the hardest.
What kept you going in those dark times?
The biggest thing is just the thought of getting back out there. I think that's the biggest motivation, is that you want to get back out on the pitch. You want to get back to doing what you do best, what you love doing, what you've always loved doing from the minute you could kick a ball. That's the thing that drives you on. Of course, the lads help. A bit of banter in the physio room, all sorts of things, from being able to throw things at players' heads as they come in, and just having a bit of, it's great to have the players come in, and even if it is just a little hello, a little how you doing, a little slap on the thigh, whatever it may be, just to pick you up. I think that's always important.
You were only 23 when the injury occurred as well. Did you think that, I don't know, did you ever think that your career would finish so short? Did you have any provisions for what you might do after your playing career, even at such an early age?
No, I didn't, because I suppose because I was told that I could get back and still have a full career. Right until towards the end, I still had that from specialists. So I always had that thought, well, I'll be okay. I'll get back and I'll have a reasonable career. Even though I knew after that injury I'd never quite be the same again, I thought I could still have a good career. So,
really? You knew at that moment that
I knew it changed me. It changed me as a player. I couldn't jump off the same leg anymore. I couldn't shoot with my left foot anymore the same as I used to be able to, just because the ankle wasn't the same. So I knew I was always going to be slightly different and a lot tougher, but I thought I'm going to have a career anyway. It wasn't till right towards the end that I kind of knew the inevitable. But even then, maybe stupidly, I didn't take any provisions as to really think about what I was going to do. I just sort of concentrated on still trying to get back.
it's 6 years, or over 6 years, since you announced your decision. How hard was that decision? How hard was it to take that decision at 26 years of age to say, that's it, I'm not going to be able to push myself anymore to get back to playing?
It's by far the hardest decision I've ever had to make in my life.
Did you make it by yourself, or did you?
No chance. No, I don't think many players do. To be honest, it was down to medical advice. But I knew in a way, because I couldn't wake up in the morning and walk properly. So if you can't do that, you're not going to play at elite level professional sport. So I was still waiting for that specialist to say, do you know what? If you want any sort of a life whatsoever, you need to stop. And I got that, and that's the kind of advice that needs to tip you over the line and to say, do you know what, actually he's right, and I want to play football with my kids. I want to be able to actually walk anywhere unaided, which at the time I couldn't.
And you're able to now?
I'm able to now. I'm able to do, within reason, whatever I want, which, in hindsight is a great decision by the medical team, but they knew what they were talking about.
Is there a day that goes by that you don't think, what might have been, what could I have been?
No, there isn't. I mean, obviously, people in a good way remind me, but in a bad way, when the door closes at home, I have to think about that, because people remind you every single day about your career and about how great you could have been, or because especially when you finish, you almost get better when you finish. People just remember the good things and not the bad performances you had. So I think that can be difficult, and I'm still not over having to retire, and I never will be. It'll never be something that I'm over. It's just something that I cope with, because you have to, and you have to get on with your life.
We've spoken before about this, and I know the answer to this, because it's really difficult when you've finished playing at such an early age. You've got so many memories, and yet all those memories you've put to one side. You don't have any memorabilia on show? No. Why?
I found it easier just to forget that I even played football, and that I thought that would be the easiest way to go from this bubble of the football world into, I suppose, the real world, and that would be by just putting everything away. And that sort of stuff doesn't bother me, because I know what I achieved. I can remember it in my head. I don't need to put things up. Do
you ever look back and put a video on and watch yourself playing? Do you ever go back to some of the old programmes, look at some of the names that you played against? Do you ever do that?
Probably in the last almost 8 to 6 months I have, actually. And I think with West Ham doing well in the FA Cup run, I watched the FA Cup final probably about 4 weeks ago. Just sat at home, watched the whole final right from the start all the way to the end, and enjoyed watching it. But no, generally I just tend to...
Is that your favourite memory from your playing career, the FA Cup final, or was it putting on an England shirt eventually?
No, it was the FA Cup final. It was such an unbelievable occasion. Playing for England was amazing. It was very, very proud moment. But that one-off day of the FA Cup final, having watched it when I was a kid, I think that's very, very special to me, that I was able to play in such a showpiece, and also that I was able to perform at that level. You always think if you get to something like that, who are the players that can perform at the the most difficult of stages, and I felt I did that, and that's very proud to look back on.
Everyone misses, I think, when they finish, different things about playing. Some say the dressing room, some say the buzz of a match day. What is it that you miss most about your playing days?
I miss the purity of actually playing in a stadium. When you turn up, everything about from when you turn up to a stadium to when you leave is amazing as a player. Everyone's there to watch you. You turn up, you've got the best of everything. You put on brand new boots that are given to you. Everything's clean, brand new kit. You walk out onto the most pristine pitches, so the best of what you've ever been able to play on throughout the whole time you've been brought up playing football. You're playing on the best. The goals are the best. The brand new net. It's just like everything's amazing, and I miss that match day, that playing in a full stadium, being able to sort of show what you're about in front of everyone. And when you're on that pitch, it is just you, 22 players, isn't it? It's just, yeah, there's a big crowd going on, but it's that match in the middle of the pitch.
I was listening to Tony McCoy talking about going to Cheltenham this week, and he found it really difficult because he said, I didn't get the buzz. Driving up to Cheltenham, he said, I don't get the buzz anymore. I might be working on the television, the radio, but I haven't got that feeling inside me that knows I'm competing, and that's something that people perhaps don't understand. Even now, when you go to games and you're working, do you get a buzz about going to a match day, or not quite the same?
It's nowhere near the same, no. I get a buzz in terms of because I'm looking forward to the match and I'm looking forward to watching, but it's not anything like what it's like when you get into play, because everyone's there to see you and you get that nervous energy that you want to perform and what's going to happen on that day. And before every game, I'd always be thinking about what could happen. Well, it's the ball's going to come over. I'm going to do an overhead kick. You think of all these things that could happen, and that's the buzz of playing, is that nervous energy that you get, and then obviously going out there in front of that amount of people and being able to play.
26, you finished in terms of your playing career. Did you think, I want to get back into football? Was there any thought about, I don't know, coaching? Was that ever considered?
It was. I think the big thing about when you finish, especially finishing early, is that your whole life has evolved around football. That everybody that is in your family has done everything to suit you. So your wife, your kids, your mum and dad, your brothers, your sisters, everyone's done everything that evolves around you. And so then when you finish and suddenly it's not all about you, then I think you think of things differently, and I know that I took quite a bit of time out, a couple of years out.
Was that a conscious decision?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was, because I just wanted to get away from football because I just didn't want to think about it.
And what did you do in those 2 years?
Not a lot, to be honest. I just spent a lot of time with family because my kids were very young, so spent as much time as I could with them. I went from playing in front of 70,000 people to singing nursery rhymes with 12 women in a group with my kids.
I know what I'd rather be doing.
So you go from just one extreme to the other, but that time with the kids was vital for me to get over not being able to play, and I think I couldn't have done it any other way. I
think the stats show that an average playing career is 7 years. Now, you probably played from the age of 16, were you, to 23? I mean, that's 7 years.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to young players? 16-year-old just walks into the building at say, Norwich. The likelihood is he's going to play, 7 years would be an average.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to someone going in that building at 16?
Probably like a lot of teenagers, I almost want to shake them and say, look, what an opportunity you have. It's such a short career. You may as well give it absolutely everything you've got. You may as well put in 100% effort every single day. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But what a life to have. Being able to do the thing that you love every single day.
And so everything is
invaluable.
Would you say everything geared towards being a professional footballer, or would you say think, because what might happen, because you've been in that position, you're someone that didn't play till you were 35 and was sadly curtailed at a younger age, would you be saying to them, think about what might happen? Yes, it's a small percentage of a chance, but it could happen. So it's 100% football, or would you say think about what might happen?
No, I think you will engross yourself in football, but of course, I mean, I said earlier, like stupidly, I didn't really think about after football, and I think that's where you'll have someone like, I look at Jack Collison, who's just retired now, and I look at him as almost an example and sort of think how impressed I am with him, that he's already doing a degree in sports journalism, he's already got his coaching badges. Like, what an impressive bloke he is already, considering he's retiring at such a young age. And I kind of look at him and think, wow, I wish I'd actually done a little bit more of that. Maybe I wouldn't have had the couple of years that I really struggled in if I'd have been able to jump into something properly when I finish. So, yeah, I mean, any young players, I think Jack Collison's a great example of what you should be looking at, even though you're at a good level of professional football. He's still gone out and worked and got his degrees and his coaching badges.
Playing wise now, do you play at all? And charity games? do you
I do actually. Yeah, I mean, I played because I've been invited to play Mark Noble's testimonial. So I've been secretly trying to get a bit
Have
fit,
you?
and yeah, and I played on Saturday actually, and I still can't walk properly since Saturday. That's
Oh,
the problem.
God.
My mind tells me that I can do it.
So you're
but
playing in Mark Noble's testimonial?
I am going to have a run out, yeah, and see how I get on. As long
10 minutes, 15
I'm just
minutes.
I'm just going to try and pull on to James Collins. I reckon I've got him still.
I was only asking because I've got a game coming up, a charity game for prostate cancer. If you fancy it,
Well, give me a shout, yeah. If you need a sub,
we need a big centre forward who can hold the ball up and score goals like you. So, Dean, it's been an absolute pleasure. Really appreciate
cheers.
you joining us on TalkSport.